Get in there, lad. Make that point. You get me right down Don't go believing anything I say. No, don't go believing me. No, don't listen to me. Don't take any notice. Don't listen to anything that I say. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining the latest coronavirus press conference. Yesterday afternoon, I was briefed on the latest data that shows the virus spreading more rapidly in London, the southeast and the east of England than would be expected, given the tough restrictions that are already in place.
Tough restrictions, rapid spread, and they've known about it since September. Not buying your bullshit.
And I also received an explanation for why the virus is spreading more rapidly in these areas.
Go on then, let's hear it. Let's see what excuses you've got.
It seems that the spread is now being driven by the new variant of the virus, which we spoke about earlier this week.
Kinda says how shit the test is, innit?
And learned about earlier this week.
Oh, you've learned something new. Get yourself a fucking NVQ.
Our advisory group on new and emerging respiratory virus threats, NerveTag.
NerveTag. Sounds like it fit in well with biometric scanning, wouldn't it?
Has spent the last few days analysing this new variant. There's no evidence that it causes more severe illness or higher mortality, but it does appear to be passed on significantly more easily.
Hold on. Wait for it. All of a sudden, viruses are going to change in how they spread. Wait for it.
NerveTag's early analysis suggests the new variant could increase the R by 0.4 or more, and although there's considerable uncertainty, it may be up to 70% more transmissible than the old variant, the original version of the disease.
It's like 5G. It's just bigger and quicker and faster and better. Don't think so. Not buying this one.
This is early data and it's subject to review, but it's the best that we have at the moment, and we have to act on information as we have it, because this is now spreading very fast.
Well, if they came across it in September, why is it taking you so fucking long to do anything? Just like the outbreak in China when that happened in November and December. But you didn't do fucking jack shit until January, February. You know, the slowing of the spread. Makes real sense if you look at it the other way around and you're actually wanting this spread.
The UK has by far the best genomic sequencing ability in the world, which means we're better able to identify new strains like this than any other country.
So that when we get hold of it, we can get a few patents going, you know, porting down. Real interesting place, that.
The Chief Medical Officer last night submitted our findings so far to the World Health Organization and will continue to be totally transparent with our global partners.
Transparent meaning fucking invisible. Nothing there to see.
There's still much that we don't know. While we're fairly certain the variant is transmitted more quickly, there's no evidence to suggest it is more lethal or causes more severe illness. Equally, there's no evidence to suggest the vaccine will be any less effective against the new variant.
Just like there's no evidence for any of it actually working, because all it's doing is curing you of the symptoms.
Our experts will continue their work to improve our understanding as fast as we can. So We're learning about it as we go, but we already know enough, more than enough, to be sure that we must act now. So I met ministers on the COVID Operations Committee last night and again first thing this morning. Cabinet met at lunchtime to agree the following actions.
How can we lock all the people up over Christmas? I'm not too sure. How are we going to stop them all from buying food and stuff that's not going to be coming in from EU because it's going to be, a no Brexit deal and with a 40% decrease in the global production? What are we going to do? Lock them all up. Make it even worse. Oh, I know. Let's add a tier into it. Lovely.
First, we will introduce new restrictions in the most affected areas, specifically those parts of London, the South East and the East of England, which are currently in Tier 3. These areas will enter a new Tier 4, which will be broadly equivalent to the national restrictions which were in place in England in November.
What a surprise. I'd have never thought of that. Oh no, I just didn't I? Yeah, I'm not capable of doing this job at all in the slightest. No.
That means residents in those areas must stay at home, apart from limited exemptions set out in law.
Set out in law. I've seen legislation. I've seen a reference to law in legislation. And I've seen it mentioned in legislation. But I haven't seen this law, this list of, laws that sort of exist, that you abide by the law. You uphold the law. This law thing seems to be becoming more and more apparent. It should actually be called law. Because I can't seem to find it anywhere.
Non-essential retail, indoor gyms and leisure facilities and personal care services must close. People must work from home if they can, but may travel to work if this is not possible, for example in the construction and manufacturing sectors. People should not enter or leave Tier 4 areas, and Tier 4 residents must not stay overnight away from home. Individuals can only meet one person from another household in an outdoor public space.
Unlike the November national restrictions, communal worship can continue to take place in Tier 4 areas, and these measures will take effect from tomorrow morning.
Because you're all fucking terrorists, and we don't care where you're from now, we just want some terrorist activity. Cheers.
All tiers will continue to be regularly reviewed in line with the approach previously set out, with the next formal review taking place on the 30th of December.
Ex-formal? I'll have to go and have a look at that. I wonder if I can find ex-formal.
Second, we're issuing new advice on travel. Although the new variant is concentrated in Tier 4 areas, it is nonetheless present at lower levels around the country. So we're asking everyone in all tiers to stay local.
This is a local shop for local people. There's nothing for you here.
People should carefully consider whether they need to travel abroad, and they should follow the rules in their tier.
Has continued to be government by consent. I think it is both remarkable and reassuring how in this country, unlike many others, the need for zealous enforcement has been remarkably low, because we are a country that is governed by consent and people have complied with the restrictions by their own consent.
Those in Tier 4 areas will not be permitted to travel abroad, apart from limited exceptions such as for work purposes.
So how's that consent working out for you? Funny that, isn't it?
Third, we must, I'm afraid, look again at Christmas.
Don't start.
And as Prime Minister, it's my duty to take difficult decisions, to do what is right to protect the people of this country.
You're a fan of the truth, aren't you?
Given the early evidence we have on this new variant of the virus, the potential risk it poses, it is with a very heavy heart, I must tell you, we cannot continue with Christmas as planned. In England, those living in Tier 4 areas should not mix with anyone outside their own household at Christmas, though support bubbles will remain in place for those at particular risk of loneliness or isolation. Across the rest of the country, the Christmas rules allowing up to 3 households to meet will now be limited to Christmas Day only, rather than the 5 days as previously set out. As before, there will be no relaxation on the 31st of January, so people must not break the rules at New Year. They must not break the rules at New Year. It's very, very important to emphasise that.
I know how much emotion people invest in this time of year and how important it is, for instance, for grandparents to see their grandchildren, for families to be together. So I know how disappointing this will be. But we have said throughout this pandemic that we must and we will be guided by the science.
And I'll explain this as I did last time, that as one individual you have who's infected, you are releasing virus from your body as you cough or sneeze or put fluids onto surfaces. But on average, one person infects 2 or 3 others.
Everyone should minimise their social contact.
So that's one aim, is to change the shape of this. And it's important to recognise it's not to stop everybody getting it. You can't do that. It's not possible to stop everybody getting it. And it's also actually not desirable because you want some immunity in the population.
When the science changes, we must change our response.
Victory or death!
Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death! Victory or death!
And when the virus changes its method of attack, we must change our method of defence.
We've got to stick with it in the meantime. You know, if this virus rolls out...
And as your Prime Minister, I sincerely believe there is no alternative open to me.
What the This is perplexing.
Is it? ALIENS.
Without action, the evidence suggests that infections would soar, hospitals would become overwhelmed, and many thousands more would lose their lives. And I want to stress that we are not alone in this fight or in taking these types of decisions. Many of our European friends and neighbours are being forced to take similar action.
That's one of Death's books.
Yeah, but this one is about God and how to kill him.
We're working closely with the devolved administrations to protect people in every part of the UK. And of course, there is now real hope that we will soon be rid of this virus. And that prospect is growing with every day that passes and every vaccine dose that is administered. As you know, the UK was the first country in the Western world to start using a clinically approved vaccine.
Even though Clark suffered only a sore arm and a headache, he wanted to know if he got the actual vaccine or a placebo.
I got the antibody test, and it came back that I do have COVID antibodies now, which leads me to believe that I got the real thing.
It's a totally separate thing. It's a coincidence. Total coincidence.
And even if you've had the jab, you're not immune because the vaccine will not fully protect you until 7 days after you've received the second dose.
And so, please, if the NHS contacts you, then get your...
He's going to demonstrate an electro-biomechanical neural transmitting zero synapse repositioner. We call it...
vaccine, and join the 350,000 people across the UK who have already had their first dose.
Tefaloon? Tefaloon. Is this one?
Yes, Christmas this year will be different.
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came.
Somehow or other, it came just the same.
Very different, but we must be realistic. We're sacrificing the chance to see our loved ones this Christmas so we have a better chance of protecting their lives so that we can see them at future Christmases. And as sure as night follows day, we'll beat back this virus, we'll defeat it, and reclaim our lives.
Guys, never a dull moment, but that's the past. What's up? We're a team again, guys.
Oh, that is not happening.